All right, so the seventh generation of consoles basically introduced us to a lot of different Spider-Man titles, and some of them were good here and there. Some were okay. Some just kind of flopped. They were kind of all over the place. But there was one in particular that I personally enjoyed the most, and that is Spider-Man Shatter Dimensions. This was also available on the 360. It was also available on the original Nintendo Wii, and it was also, interestingly enough, on the 3DS. I've never played that version, but I know it exists. It's there. The thing about this game is you play as four different versions of Spider-Man, and I think that's really cool. You've got the Amazing Spider-Man, you've got the Black Suit Spider-Man, you've got 2099 Spider-Man in the or in the distant future, and then you've got the one that's my personal favorite, Noir Spider-Man, and that is the best one to play, simply because he revolves more around stealth, pretty much throughout the entire level that you play, which, by the way, the levels are pretty much linear for the most part. They kind of expand at certain points, but we'll get more into that in a second. Basically, the story is pretty simple. It starts off at a museum. You're basically seeing that Mysterio has entered the museum, and he finds this tablet, the tablet of order and chaos, and he finds this thing. Spider-Man tries to stop him, and then he puts the tablet up to try to like shield himself. Spider-Man punches it. He basically shatters this thing, and the fragments basically go off, not only in his realm, but like in other realms where all the other Spider-Men are. So that's kind of the thing, and Madam Web kind of presents herself and telling you all of this. So now you're just kind of on this mission to gather all of those. It's one of the most powerful things, blah blah blah. But you come across different enemies, meaning the bosses for each stage that you play for each version of Spider-Man that you're playing. And that's basically the game. Like I said, it's not an open world per se type of game. It is every stage that you play is very much a linear stage. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's fine. I've played plenty of games that are linear. But it still kind of gives you that feeling that it is a little bit more like, I don't want to use the word open world, but it definitely, at certain points of the stage, as I mentioned before, it sort of branches out a little bit. So you kind of have a little bit more freedom to just kind of swing around and do whatever you want, whatever version of Spider-Man that you're playing. Now, in this game too, you also have different abilities that you can level up along the way. You can level up different combos. Like you can get a variety of different, takedowns, combos, and upgrade your health bar, that sort of thing. There's a lot there. The swinging mechanics, I would say, are still pretty cool. Now, granted, the PS4 version of Spider-Man has some amazing looking swinging mechanics. Now, the swinging mechanics in that game are cool. Like, they are really cool. It's very fluent. I do like how it's very easy to get around in that game. It's kind of the same here. My only complaint is that when you're crawling along the walls or the ceiling or wherever you are at in the game, the camera angle is a little funky. It just kind of does its own thing, so it's kind of hard to control. Other than that, the swinging mechanics here are actually not that bad. I do think that they handle pretty well. Certain points of the stage, because again, it's a very all the stages are very linear, especially when you're in kind of like a smaller part to just get from one point to the next. You can't really swing anywhere exactly until again you can branch out into a certain section of that level. But besides that, it does have a good swinging mechanic, and I do think it's not on par with the PS4 version, but it is acceptable here. The combat is very fluent too. It gets better when you upgrade more stuff, and that's kind of like with any action genre type of game. The Devil May Cry's, the God of Wars. I mean, look at all those games. You start off pretty basic, right? And then as you progress in the game, you get to upgrade more of your weapons and more of your abilities. And then just going back another time through the game, you get to continue leveling yourself up even more. So the game becomes more fun. It's more enjoyable. And that's no different here. Now, as I mentioned before, Noir Spider-Man is my favorite. There are a variety of ways to take down your enemies, because again, you're really having to use the darkness as your ally. You know, you can get spotted too, again, just like in a Metal Gear game or something. And it's really cool to see that play out, and it's so rewarding when you actually, like, you know, think of your strategy to take out your enemies, you know, silent takedowns. It's really cool. There's a variety of them, like I said, whether you're taking them out like in the shadows, you're on the floor, you're on the ground, whether you're sticking to walls, whether you're like on I don't know, like whether you're high up on a building or something like that. Like there's so many different ways. It's really cool. The one that I like specifically is where he grabs the enemy, you know, when he's on the ground, and then he kind of like takes him by the ankles and just like hurls him over his head, and then just like, you know, drops webs on him so he stays on the ground. It's really cool looking. I definitely like that one the best. And that's honestly Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. I just wanted to kind of break this down a little bit, you know, a simplistic breakdown, give you guys my thoughts on this and what the game's about, you know, just little bits here and there. I would definitely recommend picking this one up if you have a PS3 or if you even have a 360. Definitely look into it. Prices for this game actually have dropped a little bit. It was more. It's gone down to about like somewhere between 40 and 50 bucks. There are some that are probably a little bit below that, but they're not complete. You usually get the game and the case, or just the game itself, right? Like just the Blu-ray. So prices do vary, but they are definitely a little lower, at least at the time I record this anyways. So if you do like Spider-Man and you're looking for a good one to dive into, this is definitely one that I would recommend. This is one that I would jump into over all the other ones that came out on the PS3 and 360. There was a follow-up after this. So I looked it up real quick because I couldn't remember off the top of my head. It was Spider-Man Edge of Time. Let me make sure I got that right here. Yes. So at that was the follow-up to this game here. So Spider-Man The Edge of Time. This is also on 360 as well. But definitely jump into this one if you haven't tried this one already. It's definitely worth getting, in my opinion. So that's it for me. I hope you found this helpful. I hope you enjoyed this video very much. If you did, make sure to leave a comment for me. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whatever. But either way, it helps me out. I will be doing a little bit more of these quick reviews, or my thoughts on it, whatever you want to call it. So again, I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you on the next one.